Welcome, everyone. I'm Pat Micone, president of the Republican Club of Laguna Woods, and I'm so glad we're back with you. We are being with you again to bring you truth and facts that you may not be hearing in the mainstream media channels, and we want to dispel misinformation, disinformation, and even malinformation surrounding the key issues of the day. So today, I have a real treat for you. We have a special guest. We have with us Brigadier General Michael J. Aguilar, and he is a man. He is the first person of Mexican descent to reach the rank of general. I'm reading this because I want to make sure I get the points right. He reached the rank of general officer in the U.S. Marine Corps. General Aguilar's last billet or position was Deputy Commander, U.S. Marine Corps Forces, South Miami, Florida, and Commanding General Fleet, Marine South. Welcome.
Thank you, Pat.
The General has flown H-1 helicopters throughout his career, accumulating 4,000 hours of accident-free hours. Amazing. During the Gulf War, he served as Executive Officer of Marine Aircraft Group 16, operating out of Saudi Arabia. In March of 2002, after 9/11, he joined TSA as a Federal Security Director for San Diego International Airport. And then he retired in 2012, and since has taken the position of Chief Executive Officer for the Flying Leathernecks Historical Foundation. And in 2022, now as President CEO. His aim is to return the Flying Leathernecks Aviation Museum to its original home at the Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, now the Great Park. So welcome, Commander, and please, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself? I mean, your bio tells a little bit, but can you tell us more, please?
Well, Pat, thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here and share with your audience an exciting, very exciting project, as you mentioned, to return the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum back to its original home at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, now called Great Park. But I'm a Southern California boy. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, literally in Los Angeles, raised in the suburbs, Torrance, went to Long Beach State, and out of Long Beach State, joined the Marine Corps. Of course, I thought I was going to see the world, but because my opportunity to fly, which was always my childhood dream. In fact, I'm probably one of those few people that had the opportunity to fulfill their childhood dream, and that is I wanted to be a military pilot. My father was a veteran from World War II, flew in B-26s as an engineer, flight engineer, so his stories and love of country really inspired me to join the military and serve. So I had my dream come true when I was walking on campus. The Marine recruiters were there in 1969. I joined the Marine Corps, was given the opportunity to go to flight school, received my wings in 1973, and went to have a wonderful career. But most of that career was here in Southern California at Camp Pendleton. The reason for that, 75% of the Marine Corps H-1 assets are at Camp Pendleton. So naturally, I ended up spending most of my career at Camp Pendleton. However, I did go overseas during my 31 years of active duty, and I did have one assignment down at the Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego. In fact, I think I'm still the only aviator to be the director of the drill instructor school. Those Marines who take our young men and women and transition them, transform them into United States Marine Corps people. So that was my career, and then I was fortunate to make general officer and went to Washington, D.C., and ended up going to Miami, as you mentioned, Marine Forces South, and retired out of there and came back home. After my career with TSA and some contracting, defense contracting, I joined the Flying Leatherneck Historical Foundation, volunteering, not knowing that due to circumstances, the museum had to be closed by the Marine Corps. The museum, which started in 1989 at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, was always a Marine Corps museum. It was supplemented with this budget by the foundation. But in 1921, the Marine Corps, the base commander, just couldn't afford to carry the overhead with that. So we were fortunate to be approached by the city of Irvine to work with the Marine Corps. And we now have a private-public partnership between the city of Irvine and the Marine Corps to bring the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum back home to its original home at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, Great Park.
Wow, I am so happy that that's going to happen because I've lived here 42 years. We used to love to be going over to watch the Blue Angels and be a part of the air station. I think a lot of people were sad when it had to move. So it'll be great to bring back the legacy back.
In fact, as we're moving the museum back, we do have curiosity. People come and see the hangar where we're storing all the aircraft and doing our restoration. And so many of them, of course, were veterans who still live here in Orange County. But surprisingly, there's a large number of children who were either military children, dependents, or family members of the hundreds and thousands of civil servants that work both at El Toro and Tustin. And they recall very fondly the being able to go on base and, of course, watch the air shows every year. So they're very excited about bringing this museum back to Irvine.
Oh, I'm so glad. So can you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with the Flying Leathernecks? And by the way, Michael, what is a Flying Leatherneck?
Much to the surprise of Marines, people ask, what is a leatherneck? Well, it goes back to the early 1800s when Marines were on board ship. And they actually wore a leather collar around their neck. The purpose supposedly served two purposes. The first one was to keep their head erect so they maintain that sharp Marine Corps military bearing. And of course the other one, which may be a little more obvious, if you were engaged in action, it would protect you from any saber cuts. But of course
they were using swords back then.
Using sabers and swords, exactly. But of course the sailors on board the ships didn't wear them. And of course they started to make fun of the Marines having to wear this leather collar. Of course, Marines being Marines weren't going to take that from the Navy, and they decided to make it a sign of pride. So as a result of that, the name stuck Leatherneck. And then in 1940, there was a John Wayne movie called The Flying Leathernecks. And so our Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum is based upon, again, the long-standing term of the leatherneck for Marines, and of course from the movie The Flying Leathernecks.
Wow, that's great. That's a great factoid. So now, what does it take to move this museum back up to?
It's a great question. It's a Herculean effort to move 40 aircraft. We have 40 aircraft in our collection, and thousands of artifacts, what we call micro artifacts, from clothes, small clothes, books. In fact, we have in our collection 3 diaries from World War II. That we recently just discovered in the collection of micro artifacts. So we have everything from small diaries to engine components, engines and various other components, various trainers that were used for training in the mechanics and the pilots, and of course the aircraft. So all of that has to be moved. The aircraft, of course, cannot be moved assembled, so we have to assemble most of them. And it's quite an effort. Oh, it's a huge, like I said, Herculean effort to do that. But we have some great partners that are helping us. And the aircraft are disassembled down at Miramar. Then they're moved down the freeway up to El Toro. In fact, if we have a moment, I have a little clip here showing what it really takes to move all those aircraft. So here we'll be able to roll it in a second, and it shows what it takes to pack, disassemble, and move all these aircraft up to El Toro. Before we start the film here, what you're going to see, this is our restoration hangar at Miramar, where all the artifacts, most of the artifacts were stored in some of the aircraft. For 21 years, all the aircraft were displayed outside, exposed to the elements. So they need a lot of work. But what you'll see in this video is our packing of all the micro artifacts, the disassembly of aircraft, and the transportation of the aircraft from this restoration hangar to Great Park, and you'll see a larger hangar where we're restoring the aircraft, and it's called Raider Country on top of the hangar. And this is the old World War II hangar that the KC-130 Squadron 352 was housed in before the air station closed. So we'll start this film. I think you'll find it quite exciting. So here, Pat, you can see the aircraft moving from Miramar. This is our restoration facility, Hangar 297. And you can see the aircraft coming in on the trailer.
Is that what they call a MiG? Is that a MiG?
So that was an FA-18 there. The first one we had delivered. Takes quite an effort to load them on the trailers, secure them, and bring them down the freeway. You can only imagine the attention we get coming down the freeway.
Oh, I bet.
And this is just
holds
one.
Up traffic, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. These, each one comes down individually, a couple a day, they move in one day. Some of the larger ones actually require coordination with the highway patrol, where they have to be moved at night with escort.
Look at that.
So we just have, like I said, a great collection, a great crew. Worldwide is our contracted aviation transportation company.
Worldwide?
Worldwide,
How many people are employed there?
They have around a crew of 4 or 5 that they'll...
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all.
Wow.
Of course, a lot of cranes. And here's a good picture of the 2 hangars. What you'll see...
Oh, is this
this is at
the
Great Park.
The Great Park,
And we're flying towards this sports complex. And the area you just saw immediately by the hangar is what we call the Cultural Terrace. And that's where our new museum will be built, along with 2 partners, Orange County Music and Dance and Pretend City. So between the 3 of us, we will have an arts, cultural education center here at Great Park.
Wonderful.
We're excited. But that's what it takes to move all these aircraft. We were very fortunate. You may have seen the FedEx trucks there.
Yep.
Fred Smith, a Marine who fought in Vietnam, highly decorated, and of course, the owner of FedEx. He actually donated 17 vehicles, trucks, where we were able to move all our micro artifacts.
Wow, what a gift and contribution.
It was a great gift.
Oh my.
On top of his own personal contribution to our effort. So we have a great deal of support from former Marines such as Fred Smith from FedEx.
Wow. So once they get here then, what are you doing with them once they get here?
So we have to reassemble the aircraft, and then we're in the process of restoring the aircraft, each one. As I mentioned,
they've been outside all this time.
They've been outside for 21 years.
Oh my golly, wow.
In fact, the last 2 years, while we were negotiating with the Marine Corps to take loan, they're on loan to us, they sat outside without any care or maintenance. So for 2 years, they took a hard hit.
Yes.
But we have a great, again, contract firm that we're working with. Ponsford is the firm that we hired to help us with the restoration. A great group. They do all kinds of conservation. And in fact, for many years, they were responsible for the care of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. But of course they do, in addition to monuments such as that, they do aircraft also. So we're very pleased to have partnered not only with Worldwide, but Ponsford to help us with this project.
Wow, daunting.
But I'd like to share with you, if I may, just a little bit about what we're doing here at the Great Park with a little slide presentation here.
Yeah.
So let me go to the next slide here and just explain about the Great Park. So what you see here on the top center of the screen, that's the Flying Leatherneck Aviation Museum. That's what we're building right now. To the right side of the screen, the 297, that's Hangar 297, where we are storing and restoring all the aircraft and all the micro artifacts, right adjacent to the Cultural Terrace. So that developed area in green is part of Cultural Terrace, which is part of the Great Park Framework.
I see.
Irvine has taken on a huge task to redevelop Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, and we're a small part of that build-out. And this will be the first one, and it's called the Cultural Terrace. And as I mentioned, we will be partnering with the Orange County Music and Dance and the Pretend City that will be in that Cultural Terrace. Of course, we believe the museum is going to be the epicenter of this Cultural Terrace.
Yes.
But we're pleased to be partnering with
Yes.
Orange County Music and Dance and Pretend City.
Yeah.
And they're located at the bottom of the screen here on the left and right-hand side. On the next slide, what I want to show you here is renditions of what our facility will look like. It's going to be a 100,000 square foot facility. It kind of looks like a hangar because it is a hangar. It's going to be two large facilities conjoined. The larger one, of course, is the main exhibit hall, and then the smaller one in front will be the entrance where offices and some exhibits and, of course, a welcome center will be located. We are in the process right now of raising money to build this facility, but we want to be good stewards of all our donations. And so we're taking care to make sure we're building a museum that fits inside our budget. Right now, our budget, with the money that we've raised, we're looking to build a 100,000 square foot facility. And on the next slide, I'll give you a little sneak preview of what that will look like. So we have a full scale model of the museum of what it would look like. All but around 5 aircraft will fit inside the facility. But this gives you
35. You said we have
around
40.
30 of the 40.
Wow.
So this gives you a good idea. Those aircraft that are on a pedestal will be hung from the ceiling. But we have a very
cool.
detailed plan moving forward with this. On the next slide, which you'll be able to see, are some of the exhibits we have. I'm going to take a moment just to share with you kind of our idea about what our museum is going to be. It's going to be more than just a static display of aircraft that aviators like me like to go up and read all the technical information. We want our museum to be very, and these are the terms museums use now, immersive, experiential, for all generations. So that's what we want to have. And here's an example of one. This is a display. It's a ejection seat display. Now you'd ask, what's so exciting about an ejection seat? Well, our emphasis for our exhibits will be the science, technology, engineering, and math disciplines. Our museum has several, in our vision, to accomplish several things. First of all, it is going to be a museum that honors the history and legacy of Marine Corps aviation and the contributions that Marine Corps Air Station El Toro and Tustin made to the economic growth of Orange County.
Yes, I'm sure.
Secondly, we want it to be a new inspiration for patriotism. We believe that's important, and our displays will be able to inspire a new sense and appreciation, not only with patriotism, but America and all that America has to offer.
Yes.
We've also found with some of the visitors we've had down at Miramar, and of course those that have come at our Hangar 297, it's a safe haven for veterans. It's a comfortable environment. So with all the veterans that we have, especially given the recent conflicts, it's important for them to have a safe haven, and we know the museum provides that. Lastly, and probably most importantly, as I mentioned, we want to inspire in our youth an interest in the science, technology, engineering, and math. STEM. We believe in order for the country to maintain its economic position in the global economy, which leads immediately to our national security, homegrown scientists in those disciplines. So we want our exhibits to be able to inspire them to pursue those, not to join the military or the Marine Corps, but to pursue those various disciplines. And here's an example. This is what we call our ejection seat display. We have around 8 ejection seats that we're going to put on display, and we'll talk about the engineering, the math that goes into the design and the sequencing of an ejection seat. But after that, what we're going to do is talk about what happens to the human body when it's exposed to an airstream of around 350 knots or more. So we're going to then go into, after the engineering of the ejection seat and the ejection sequence, the physiological impact on the human body. But after that, then, we're going to ask our guests, hopefully the young guest, what do you do when you're safely on the ground? How do you get home? And of course, they're going to pull out their iPad and go punch in home. Well, that isn't how it works in a combat environment. In fact, they won't even have, for those that remember, a Thomas guide to get you home. So what we're going to give them in our display, the third part of this display, will be an opportunity to pick a time period, an area that they're in, and the survival equipment that they have, and read a map. In civilian life, we call it orienteering, to try to get back home. So from the engineering design, the physiological impact, to figuring out how to get home is how we're approaching our displays. Our next slide here I'll show you is using modern technology. We want to show, of course, the operations inside the engines of the aircraft. You don't have to pull the aircraft apart. You can take your iPhone, hold it up to the aircraft, and with AR, IR nowadays, you can now show the inner workings of the aircraft. So we want to have displays that really share everything about the technology and engineering. Again, all focused on education.
Wow.
Next
These
slide.
are older planes. They're not, so security isn't so much an issue.
No, none of these. In fact, speaking about old planes, here's just some example of some of the aircraft we have in various stages of restoration and getting ready to be transported. In fact, I do want to point out the Cobra on the top there. That particular aircraft, I actually have flight time in it. So I think it's only appropriate that the aircraft and I both ended up in the museum at this point. So with the next slide here, I'll be able to show you what it takes to transport them. Again, you saw the film. Here's the disassembly. They're loaded on the trucks and then transported. And as you can see in one of our aircraft...
What do they weigh, Michael? What is it?
They vary depending. Most of them have the engines out of them, so that takes care of a lot of the weight. But they're running anywhere from around, our lightest ones, 2,500 pounds, to the heaviest ones running 15,000 pounds.
Okay, so like a car, a smaller car,
yeah, they vary quite a bit.
Like
Again, and like I said, some of them, most of the fixed wing don't have engines in them. All the helicopters have the engines and the transmissions. So actually our helicopters end up being the heaviest aircraft.
Oh, wow, because the engine's so...
Yeah, but again, quite a bit of effort to move these. So on the next slide here, you'll be able to see transportation of all our artifacts. As I said, FedEx, great partners, but you can just imagine what it took to move all these. So those are engines. In fact, that particular one is a MiG, a Russian MiG engine. So with these engines, we're going to be able to, again, partner with even our local colleges to bring their students in. We're very excited about the opportunity.
Yes.
For example, Orange County Community College, and most community colleges, they have a program which leads to an airframes and power plant certificate. It allows the students then to work on either commercial or a general aircraft. In order to work on these aircraft, you have to be certified with what we call an A&P license, airframes and power plants. So we're in discussions with Orange County Community College. They have a great laboratory where they can instruct their students towards their certificate, but we're hoping to bring them to our restoration facility in our museum where they can actually get some real hands-on on some old aircraft.
And credits towards their
certificate. Bend metal, as we like to call it, working on the aircraft. So we're excited about that. We're also in discussions with UCI Irvine. We're hoping to build a replica of an old DH-4 de Havilland. So we're hoping to be able to partner with them and in their engineering class, design and build
what
an
a great
old
master's program or major
it really
project.
Is. But actually, we've had a long-standing education program down in Miramar with the K through 12 grades. They've, of course, with tours and education tours, but we've had a long-standing art and essay contest. And what we do, where we give out prize money to students to write about American history centered around the core values of the Marine Corps. Either an individual they knew that represent the core values or a family member. But what we found out is not all students are good writers. So we started an art contest where they actually have wonderful art pieces, again, depicting Marine Corps aviation. So we will continue. In fact, we started last year here in Orange County with our program. Had very successful introduction. We're working with the Irvine Unified School District to continue those education programs. So
great.
Again, in addition to history and legacy of Marine Corps aviation, it's all about education.
Yes.
And on the
yes.
next slide here, we'll show you, if anyone wants to learn more about us, you can check on any browser. It's www.flyingleathernecks.org, and you can keep up on how we're progressing on the movement of that aircraft in that
Yes.
museum.
And I am sure people like myself, would like to support this effort. I mean, it's Herculean, and it's going to cost a little bit. Everything, its costs go up. So.
Yeah, in fact, as I tell people, the success of this program really depends on three things: money, money, and more money.
No.
So we have a very comprehensive capital fundraising campaign. The total project for our hopes and dreams, as I mentioned, right now the funds that we've raised, around $32 million, will allow us to build out a facility of 100,000 square feet.
Okay.
Our hopes and dreams, though, are actually to have a facility of 147,000 square feet. To build that out and complete all our exhibits and displays as we would like them to be, it really needs a target that we're shooting for of $58 million.
Okay.
So we continue to have a very comprehensive fundraising campaign. Again, we're looking for some big donors, of course. We're very fortunate, as I mentioned, to have Fred Smith, who made a wonderful in-kind contribution and personal contribution to us. We just recently had a very generous contribution from an long-time Orange County resident, Ron Simon Foundation and family, donated a large amount to us that has helped us a great deal. The Quilter family also made a large contribution to us that has helped us out. But I think to underscore the importance of this museum to the city of Irvine is to share with you that the city of Irvine actually gave us a $20 million grant to help us towards the building of this facility. So our total contributions of around $32 million on top of our general fundraising that keeps our daily operating costs going. But we're working very hard, one, to be good stewards of the donors' money, to build within our budget, but continue to target our dreams. If you don't continue to go after your dreams, you're never going to achieve them.
No, right.
So we're going to push after those.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
This is why we wanted to have you, Michael. When I heard you give a talk a while back, and I wanted to have you back. So we very much want to promote this fabulous project. It's it's historical, and it's got so much of a legacy to leave. And we want our children, as you said, to. We can't lose this history. This history needs to be preserved. So again, if people please go to www.flyingleathernecks.org and please give any amount. Okay, well, Pat, it was a pleasure being here. I hope that as we continue to move towards building this facility, we're looking to open in 2026. Okay.
We're working with the city right now with our plans.
Yes, I meant to ask you that.
Yeah, 2026. We kind of keep a wide window because we're not quite sure with weather and other delays that might approach. So we're giving ourselves a little bit of a leadway there. But we're working very hard for 2026. I'd love in the future to come back and just update you on our progress,
we will do
how
that,
we're doing,
Michael.
and let you know what's going on.
We will definitely do that. Well, Michael, thank you so much for coming on today. We wish you the best. We'll look forward to having you in the future to come back and keep us updated.
Will do. Okay, well, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Oh, ours too. Thank you.
Thank you.